Yo, what's going on, everybody? I'm back here with another Frontier Signals update. And so, besides some of the updates on this, I'll go through what I see going on here regarding some of the earthquake activity and some other references and links. So if you check the description, I'm going to have some more things down there. And I'm probably going to just kind of slowly add to it. And, there's going to be various links that'll be relevant for certain things I'll cover. So anyways, we're here on the space weather feeds where I finally added this. I mean, it's not like it was that hard. I just haven't done it yet. Along with a pretty good description for how each one of these things work here. So I guess I'll just kind of run through it in a basic sense here, because I mean, I don't fully understand it myself. But this is like the solar wind, the magnetic field strength and orientation in regards to solar storms. So basically up here on the top you have the red and the white, which is BT and BZ. So the BT is the strength of the magnetic field, and then the BZ is basically the north-south component. So when we get solar wind hitting us and is pointing southward, then it's going to be connecting to Earth's magnetic field a lot stronger, allowing for more of an impact. So this is basically what scientists use to see how bad a solar storm is going to be. Sometimes we get a pretty intense flare, but if the BZ is not connecting properly, then it kind of bounces away. And if it's connecting strongly to our magnetic field, then we get an even heavier impact. And then the blue, the second one here, is the phi angle. I guess it's kind of similar. It's the orientation or angle of the magnetic field. And so this also matters when you're looking at how much energy is actually going to be impacting us. And then you basically have density, speed, and temperature of the solar wind itself. So these are a little bit easier to kind of read. I mean, when it's high, it's bad. When it's low, it's good. That's kind of the basic layman's term thing, I guess, for it. So I've got that. I could have some minor descriptions for these as well, but I mean, these are a little bit more straightforward. But this one is way more complex, but also really useful. So that's that. I'm slowly kind of just adding things here and there as I see fit. I'm getting some ideas for the history tab, and it's probably going to include a little bit of modern history as well, or at least, like 1800s, actually. I think I want to find, research a lot more about things that happened in the 1800s, because that is actually probably one of the most fascinating and, well, relatively well documented eras, especially for the US. So, there's going to be some various things. I mean, this is kind of like my personal research website as well. And then if we go here, I added a little bit more space imagery. So we're going to have some historical events like the 2014 X4.9 flare. So there's an article here, there's credit, and then there's a few images from it with their respective descriptions. So that's a pretty nice looking composite image of an X4.9. And then we've got this really awesome image taken in multiple angstroms here. And then lastly here we got the chronograph of that same event. So I want to add more things like that in this section. And then also do the same thing for volcanoes, and I'm not sure where I want to put the charts. We can put the charts somewhere, because there's there's a lot of different charts. If we go here, first of all, there's a lot of charts here that are useful. So you have just kind of the overall activity that has been going on. And, well, okay, this is a better example. Like some of the charts on here. So you've got the solar cycle comparisons, and then one that's completely unique to suspicious observers here, Space Weather News, is this one. I'm going to have this video in the description if you want to know more about how this chart works. Because, I mean, you can look at it here. You have field loss over here. So, you know, and then you've got the KP index, and then these lines representing different X flares. Basically, you know, the more field loss in the magnetic field strength that we have, the greater chance for chance of field collapse, you know. So it's kind of basic, but also it's very complicated. So again, I'll be linking the video describing that in the description. So let's see. There was one other image as well, which is from Zacharias, I'm not sure how to pronounce that, over on X. Hold on, that's... Where did it go? Gotta find it here. Which includes basically the most recent, well, some of the most recent data that we have on the magnetic field, on the geomagnetic pole, rather, moving, because even so far this year in January, it's been moving a lot again, and, you know, we're not going to get it's hard to get the full kind of updated scope on that. Sorry, it's taking me a minute here. Here it is. Okay, so this is what we're looking like from December to the end of January. Especially going into the 25th here, it's like we had another major significant deviation in the north geomagnetic pole. So, you know, that's still doing its thing, causing chaos. So we can look here at, man, that's really zoomed in. Actually, I like it zoomed in. So we've had quite a lot of volcanoes already today. I mean, some of these are from the 29th going into the 30th is kind of how you look at it, because, you know, time zones are all weird. But I kind of skimmed through this. We got another 22,000 foot high blast, and a lot of these are basically alerts. So this one was actually lowered, which is a good sign. But most of these are remaining at the current alert level, or some of them are actually going up. Most of them are remaining exactly where they were, though. There's quite a few, including we've got some on the Alaskan island chain. They're called the Aleutian Islands. Yeah, here we go. At first I was wondering where the heck this was. Then the term Aleutian, I think that kind of popped in my brain, like, oh, that's referencing Alaska, basically. So yeah, Aleutian Islands, Alaska. So, which previously there was only like one thing over there for a little bit. So yep, if we take a look at this map here, we've got an addition there, and so minor activity, but another thing to keep an eye on. Slowly getting more familiar with all this, and I mean, look, there's like 100 volcanoes to try to track, so, you know, we'll get there eventually, right? Again, still pretty satisfied with this map here, but of course there's a lot more functions I want to have with it. It is really a pain trying to get this thing, you know, every time I add something, something else breaks, and then I gotta fix that, and then make it all work. And I think there's some data caching I need to do with this because this map breaks really easily. You know, you're just kind of doing things, whatever. You pop over to a different tab, you come back, and it's just busted. You gotta reload the page. Or some of these areas, you zoom in, and then it just goes white. I don't know, maybe that's just how this particular map data functions outside of the US. Because if you go to the US, you can zoom in as far as you want, no problem. And you even get the advanced like topography. So I do like this map, but if you go anywhere else outside of the US, you zoom in far enough and then it just goes blank. So that's not too fun. Maybe there's something I can do to remedy that. But so far, pretty happy. You can look at the tectonic plates, you can show all the volcanoes, so like there's a bunch over here in Africa, you can click on them. Now, I don't know if this data here, like it's gonna say Holocene on every single one of these, even though most of these are dormant, ancient, or have not had any recorded eruptions, so they're technically not Holocene. I think that's just a bug with the code right now, so I can figure that out at some point. Basically, if it says no confirmed eruptions, then it's probably Pleistocene or, you know, ancient, whatever. So that's kind of how that is. And yeah, it gets kind of cluttered. But you know what? It's kind of a good thing. You know, you got a lot of data to work with, and then you can also just turn off the earthquake feed entirely. Especially useful when I start getting some of these other things in here. So yeah, that's basically it. I added some more things to the home page. But let's just take a look at what's been going on this program. So again, this Philippine swarm here, I was doing some digging on this yesterday, and it looks like instead of being foreshocks, like I thought, which I mean, we could still see something major happen around here, or especially in the in-between points, because that's a lot of energy being released. But I actually did a calculation here, a rough calculation using AI, so, you know, take it for what it's worth, that basically all of these earthquakes combined, because we haven't, I was about to say, we haven't had any new ones. Well, we got a new one. So it is still an ongoing swarm. But based on pretty much all of them besides this new one, is basically a combined energy total of like a 6.2 earthquake, which adding this 5.1, it's probably just about exactly a 6.2 based on, you know, the calculations made by AI. You know, I could pull that up really quick just to show you. Alright, so here we are on the chat GPT. Yeah, this is the kind of all-in-one thing I use, which, you know, this website is not perfect by any means. Even though it seems like a good deal, you get all these different things here, including video, image. It also relies on a credit system, so it's very limited. And I think some of these AIs seem a little bit neutered at times. I don't think some of these are as good as their source quality. But, you know, it's still useful. It's still a very useful tool if you know what you're doing and you know what to ask for. So I simply asked it to combine all these values of earthquakes, and it's not an easy thing. And this isn't perfect. You know, there's a lot of equations here. But it basically said, you know, it was around a 6.2-ish. And so, well, there was, you know, a proposed upper 6 to be striking around here. So I just figured to ask it, okay, if there was a 7 supposed to strike here, and basically all this energy got released instead, you know, what would that actually do? And so, well, I mean, I don't think this is legit, but it's still saying, you know, there'd still be an equivalent of a 6.9 worth of energy, or basically the same thing, right? So I don't know. It's weird. I don't know if I trust it, but it did do some math and it did attempt to solve the problem. But anyways, regardless, could still see some major activity up here. But it looks like a lot of the pressure got released, which is actually a good sign. But that swarm is still ongoing, so, you know, we just need to wait and see. And we've had, let's see, there's a very strange, unique earthquake up here in Montana. I'm just gonna drag this out here. We've had several strange activities here in the US in the past several days. So there's the 4.3 from Texas. And then, you know, I'd imagine basically this earthquake up here in Montana is really just a compensation movement from the east and the west and even the north and the south. I mean, it's just been this area here. It's basically surrounded by other 4.0 activity. I don't know where... There's a 4 up here. I don't know where that went. And then there's also been some speculation of the USGS just straight up deleting earthquakes, which, you know, some of us are not surprised by that. And what I mean by that is mostly the earthquakes here that are significantly away from the West Coast, such as this right here. So, you know, basically what that means is there likely is a lot more of these earthquakes that go on around here, but they just get deleted. So, and then they call them like anomalies or erroneous data or something, but it's like, come on. So anyways, we can take a quick little peek at this earthquake here. I've got this one pulled up. So I'll just take a look over there really quick. Trying to get some different music here, especially given the kind of content I want to make. You know, I gotta be really careful with copyright strikes. And so, well, knock on wood, hopefully old school RuneScape music is pretty safe. And a lot of royalty-free, copyright-free music is just pure cringe, okay? Like, I love EDM, I love listening to all sorts of music, but when it comes to background music for this kind of content, like, no, there's very few things, you know, maybe lo-fi or some other instrumental. Basically, that's about it. So, let's see, what do we got going on? A lot of farming fields, a lot of these weird kind of little mountainous things here. Yeah, I just wanted to kind of take a peek here what's going on at this strange, rare earthquake location out of Montana here. We're north of Yellowstone. Yeah. I've looked around here a little bit before, didn't really see much. There's a airstrip right here. Doesn't look like there's really any like pumping operations or drill points, which again would allow perforations in the crust that allow seismic energy to come out of. You know, I don't know if there's any like quarries around here. I'm not sure what this is. Like a military thing. Is it some sort of weird Masonic structure? Or is it just some completely innocent farming related thing? I don't know. There's no place marker there. There's actually no place markers. Oh, shooting complex. Okay. So that probably explains it. Alright. cool. There's some weird... I mean, there's power lines over here. I was seeing some weird anomalies in the graphics, basically, the rendering. But now I can't find it. But whatever. So yeah, there's really nothing going on out here. It looks a lot nicer up here than it does down in Texas. I was looking at all those drilling operations and all the freaking soil just looked like it was chemically infused. Yeah, it looks much nicer up here. So anyways, and then the other thing, this also relates to the Philippines. This is the largest earthquake found in the stack so far. The 5.9, which again, calling it a 5.9 when you look at the details here, no station details contributed, and you look at the other one, you know, a lot of these are in the 6 range. All right, now there is a lot of them also in the 5 range. So, you know, I guess you could argue and be like, okay, well, you know, 5.9 might just be the average. But I don't know. It's hard to say on this one. But it's basically 6. And yeah, that's what's going on there. Take a look at the tremor map. This is from the last 4 days. And pretty much all the activity is right here, up north California, just south of the border with Washington or Oregon. And that's quite a swarm of tremors here. We've got a lot of movement in the plate, in the slow slip events. And so basically, you know, it definitely correlates to a lot of the activity around here. You know, we're going to have a lot of compensation movement going around. And if we don't have compensation movement, that means something is building up for something bigger. And that being said, there's still a watch from Dutch Sense going on for the 6.0 in this area. And I think he was also calling for a potential 6 in Southern Europe. I think that's somewhere around here. Whatever would classify as Southern Europe. I didn't look at all the details. Which, you know, given how much stuff we've had going on over here, that would make sense, you know? There's been lots of 4s going on here, and the pressure coming from the Pacific, including fresh, deep activity. Yeah, I could definitely see that happening. So, yeah, I guess watch out for a potential 6 in Europe. I'm not exactly sure where. I guess you'd have to go follow Dutch for that and scrounge around for that information. But yeah, I mean, we've had a 6 down here. A lot of activity going out to the Mid-Atlantic Ridge. And with that, I'm going to go here and take a look at this. What's just kind of a side note here. The main reason why I keep looking at this, if you just take a look at this graph here, zoom in on it, the activity has just kind of been astronomical compared to the past 30 years. So yeah, you know, it's like, this is exactly why I'm looking at this, because it's definitely, just like with everything else going on, completely unprecedented. So, and it only seems to be ramping up further. A lot of volcanoes around here, a lot of fault zones. We got these mountain ranges and these other mountain ranges. So yeah, it just continually escalates, which, you know, is something to pay attention to. But other than that, I think that's really about it. I'll just continue kind of on the grindstone, trying to get this website looking better every day. more functions, more research, more articles. There's a growing number of things I need to add here. And of course it would take forever to load. Not sure why. I think that's just kind of how maybe the VS Code live server is. The longer you have it open, the more problems that occur. Yeah, there's just more and more things I need to add here. You know, it's hard enough researching these things, putting all these things together on a web page makes it even harder. But it's still worth it, and I'll be happy to share all these things when it's ready. But for now, I'm still covering all of it. And with that, I will leave it off there. So I hope everyone's having a good one, and I'll see you in the next.